This November continues to be high stakes, electric, and erratic. It's in a lot of ways what I would consider to be the pinnacle of 2020 astrology. It's not exactly new energy, but it's the culmination of a buildup in the beginning of the month, a going back and forth in the middle, and a push through at the end. So buckle up and keep to yourself if possible. If there's ever been a time to nail down the spiritual practices that keep you sane, it's right now. If you are excited to dive into what we can collectively expect for this November of 2020, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Hi, I'm Maren. I am a professional astrologer, author, and philosophy student. I combine traditional Hellenistic astrological techniques with modern psychological counseling dynamics in order to provide grounded spiritual guidance. If you have not already seen your November forecast for your individual sign, the playlist will be linked down below so that after this video you can check out how this is specifically manifesting in your life. This video is also brought to you by my very own course, the foundational one-stop shop for learning astrology, the Astrology Academy. This course is a comprehensive deep dive into the foundations of Western astrology. This includes history, philosophy, technical concepts, counseling considerations, and a step-by-step guide to reading a chart. I've been working so hard on this course for so long, which makes me so excited to be able to provide this to you all during this period where you might have things up in the air for you in your life if you're looking for greater knowledge, greater awareness, and better foresight to plan for the future as well as understand yourself. The Astrology Academy might be right up your alley, so info's down below. As well, I'm offering a free webinar on actually learning astrology. So if you are looking to have 1 hour to learn how to actually start learning astrology, if you're, dipping your toe in this, if you want a bit of guidance around that, make sure you do check out my Actually Learning Astrology webinar down below. So we start on the 1st of the month with the Sun in Scorpio opposite Uranus in Taurus. This is off the bat definitely a rebellious, liberatory whistleblower energy that we're starting the month with, because the Sun often in collective mundane forecasts is representing authority or the focus of the collective at hand, and Uranus is rebellion. It is release, it is explosion, it's implosion, it's cataclysm. So the fact that the Sun is opposing Uranus at the beginning of the month definitely gives credence to starting off the month on an abrasively radical note. And I do know that this will be right around the beginning of the month will be the election on the 3rd, and this is happening 2 days before, so as I've said in previous forecasts, there's definitely a certain amount of eruption and even anarchy perhaps around this first week of November that definitely plays into the election dynamics, that we can expect some turmoil, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have some bad actors making really dramatic power plays or making a lot of last-ditch attempts to radicalize or polarize the nation. On the 1st through the 7th, we have Mercury retrograde in Libra squaring Saturn in Capricorn. And Mercury in Libra is actually enclosed by the rays of Mars and Saturn. Mars is opposing on one side, Saturn is squaring on the other side. So Mercury in Libra is trapped in between the two rays. It's known as besiegement or enclosure, and it indicates things going from bad to worse. So the fact that we have Mercury, the planet of commerce and communication, retrograde enclosed by the malefics throughout the whole first week, dear God, this is not an election nightmare shit show, and that's not surprising. We've been building up to this and it makes a lot of sense. But even that aside, I do recommend that each of us individually during this beginning first week of November take a lot of care to both speak our truth and defend ourselves, but not play devil's advocate or, unbeknownst to us, play into just creating more friction. That there could be a tendency here to be like, wait, I'm gonna bring this up, and then have it be like, oh fuck, like now things are going from bad to worse and maybe I shouldn't have said anything. So there's a lot of passive aggressive back and forth with words that I would definitely caution ourselves against speaking in the first place if it's not deliberate truth. On the 6th through the 19th, we do have Jupiter conjunct Pluto exactly in Capricorn. So if you've been following me for a while, if you've been following any astrology for a while, you do know that this whole year is toned by the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction throughout the year in Capricorn. Jupiter and Pluto are meeting exactly by degree. So they've been in the same sign. This is not anything new, but this is the intensification of Jupiter expansion and Pluto mortality together in a really exact perfection. That's what it's called when the planets meet exactly by degree. This is the last time that these two major planets will be meeting in such an alignment, and this is an intensification of the year-long crisis. So again, it's right around the election. This is probably right around when votes will be counted and sorted out and whatnot. And even though I'm filming this in September because I plan pretty far ahead, that this makes sense, that this will be one final 2020, saying hello. And I wouldn't be surprised as well if this is an intensification of virus issues, maybe in a way around herd immunity becoming something that is like unavoidable, or just a really massive scale of the pervasive mortality in a way that is not cute, but at least it is the final blow, so to speak, of this really intense aspect. On the 9th, we have Venus in Libra opposite Mars in Aries. And Venus is direct and Mars is retrograde, so they're opposite by sign the entire month, but because Mars is retrograde and Venus is direct, it's like there's only one day where they're exact by degree because they're crossing each other very quickly. It's not like they're kind of catching up and then playing against each other. So this is a day on the 9th that I would be very, very careful about oppositional, confrontational, very intense, very direct dynamics, and maybe the epitome of the month will be on the 9th, when whatever our personal pressure cooker is makes itself very visible in a relationship on the 9th. I would definitely look out for that. It's very fleeting, but it's very precise and intense. On the 15th, there is a new moon in Scorpio, and I have a full video on this new moon down below that you can watch if you're interested in learning about how this is a pretty intense but fairly more constructive lunation than a lot of the rest of 2020. This is very much blowing the lid off of things. It's whistleblowing. It is getting paranoid enough to say something that might not be relevant about the paranoia, but that needed to be said. It's kind of like something being over-exaggerated, but that gets the truth out. I'm thinking of, honestly, like that saying, like, drunk thoughts or drunk words or sober thoughts. I don't drink, but that's kind of the line where our head is not screwed on correctly throughout this, but what's coming up is a metaphor or like an allegory for something that's bigger. So it's a new moon, it's a new beginning, and it might be us realizing that we are completely delusional or not in the right in a certain line of thinking. Full scoop is down below. On the 15th through the 19th, we have Venus in Libra square Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn. So the 15th through the 19th has poor little Venus at home in Libra getting abused by the mafia in Capricorn. There's a lot of resources at hand to provide beauty and aesthetics and harmony in our lives, but it seems like the outside world and the institutions at hand are not letting us catch a break. That's fairly obvious. The symbolism behind this makes a lot of sense just looking forward, that November is an extremely, extremely tense month, and even though we might be able at this point to make things a little better in our individual lives, it's definitely feeling as if possibly the cataclysm of external events cannot help but tone that happiness down a bit, or a lot of a bit. And I'm gonna guess that at this point we still don't really have a clear election winner in the US, that there's probably still some, mail-in voting sorting out. I know that that can take several weeks, so I feel like this Venus in Libra is like, well, at least we have the process out of the way, but there's still this lingering anxiety and panic in the air around that. On the 21st, the sun is entering Sagittarius. So on November 21st, the sun enters the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius. This is the expansion of fire motivation. It is the spreading the gospel, motivating. It is the pep talk. It is the hype. It is the season where it's a descent into the exploration of the depths of life. Things like more esoteric or more widespread philosophical thought is a great way to characterize this time of year. So the sun there doesn't mean like a huge emphasis, but it does mean that collectively our focus might be turning into more higher realms. And with the South Node there right now, I think that perhaps there's a big spiritual tone, or I don't want to say spiritual awakening necessarily, because I feel like that's kind of a loaded term that can mean a lot of different things. One could say that we're going through one right now. We could also say that we've been going through one for the past like few weeks or so, but I do think that in the midst of everything, that this is a well-needed investigation on the 20th through the 21st throughout into December. On the 21st as well, Venus is entering Scorpio, and Venus is in its exile in Scorpio. It rules the opposite sign of Taurus. So the fact that it's entering Scorpio indicates kind of being a foreigner or in a foreign country. There's a lack of assimilation and being at a disadvantage, because Venus wants harmony, Scorpio is intensity. It is the epitome of water. It is volatility. And so this is definitely saying that what we are valuing is going up and down. I think that this understandably coincides with a climate of intensification and intensification of values. Definitely a polarizing transit, not looking like there's any harmony coming about in the midst of American politics at this point. And I have a full video coming out on the election. It might be out before this, or it would have to be out before this, yeah. So you can watch that video, down below. That the election video that I recorded is out if you want to learn all about the 2020 election and my predictions and what's going on. That'll be linked down below. On the 27th, Venus in Scorpio is opposing Uranus in Taurus. This, as well, is this shocking value transit, shocking relationship transit, rebellious relationship transit, definitely like proving a point or acting out and being a bad actor just to get your words out or yourself recognized. So watch out by the end of the month that people are feeling either stir crazy or wanting to make a mark in a way that is very, very abrasive amidst relational dynamics. And finally, on the 30th, casually, we tie up November with our first eclipse of this winter season. We have a lunar eclipse in Gemini, which I have a full video on down below. To say the least, this is a boom ending to the month, ending on an eclipse. An eclipse that, is pretty much out of the way of the malefics and is not, a big destructive eclipse, even though eclipses are always pretty destructive, as I explain in all of my videos on the nodes that you can also watch on my channel. But this eclipse is definitely very data explosive and very much like facts and information coming out. And what I do wonder actually is that because we've had election interference in the past and a lot of things around that, I wonder if since eclipses play out over 6 months, if there's something that is revealed now that will take about 6 months to hash out. North Node in Gemini, investigation into information and data. Yeah, I'm just gonna call that it looks like there could be a 6-month data struggle or a investigation going on. So if you know what you are going to be dealing with or whatever you expect for this November, do let me know in a comment down below. I'd be very interested to hear that for this month. Otherwise, let's get into the tarot and the oracle deck cards and see what guidance we have coming up. So for a tarot card, we have the Knight of Cups, and Knights are action and diligence, and Cups are emotions. So how are we going after filling our emotional cup? We're needing to realize, what are we depending on? What is our narcotic? What are we leaning on to get us through the day? And is that really worth it? I think that this is a big grappling point of what's really valuable this November. More so than maybe the rest of 2020, that this is really like the pimple on top of the boil of what are your true values with all of this in Scorpio and all of this Uranus aspects and Venus in Libra just getting hammered until the end of the month. That what is it that fills you up with value, and is that sustainable, and is that going to carry you into greater enlightenment and exploration of your true self, or is that going to take you deeper into polarization with those around you? Finally, let's pull a Amio deck astrology card. This is a new deck I have that I'm excited to be using, and it's a bunch of astrology cards, so let's see what astrology concept comes up for us to remember for this month. We have Pisces, connect to your intuition to art your imaginary world. So the sign of Pisces is coming up as a reminder, and Pisces is mutable water. It is the spread of emotions. So throughout what could be very polarizing, what will be very polarizing, and what is very intense and could be divisive, how can we connect and find common ground, and how can we hold compassion for everyone else's state of consciousness? Because not to say that whole people are always unconscious, but we cannot wake up the unconscious parts of other people by shoving consciousness in those parts' face. So this month, how can you stay par to your own course and spread compassion and empathy by being in your own lane? If you enjoyed this and you're feeling called to learn astrology in the weeks to come, do check out the Astrology Academy. If in the new year or tying up this year you feel like you do want to delve more into this language of the cosmos, check that out down below along with my webinars on actually learning astrology. Would love to have you join those. Besides that, make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know anything coming up for you down below that you are expecting for this November. Sending so much love, and I will see you in the next one.
But there is one thing you're all forgetting, that endless morning will turn to night, and when